Hey everyone. So, in this course, I'm going to be talking about imbalances such as estrogen dominance, which is very common in our day and age, as well as low progesterone and PCOS. So, I'm going to give you all the information, the signs, the symptoms, what causes it, how to fix it, but I'll really go into depth in further courses. So, in estrogen dominance, estrogen is higher in comparison to progesterone, right in the luteal phase or right before our period. So you might have symptoms of heavy periods, painful periods as well, fibroids, tender breast, irritability, PMS, hot flashes, bloating, irregular cycles, headaches, endometriosis, and this can also lead to breast cancer as well. So here are some things that can exacerbate the symptoms. Having coffee before breakfast, especially on an empty stomach, low carb diets, over exercising, not eating balanced meals, household toxins, having that hustle mentality, seed oils, and not enough nutrients dense fats. So, all these things have one thing in common, and they are stressful on our body. So, stress is something that disrupts our hormones. When we experience stress, our cortisol or our stress hormone rises. And when this cortisol is chronically high, it'll break down tissues in the body because it needs to use it for energy in stressful situations. So, what are some things that can cause estrogen dominance? So, first is the lack of nutrients. Our body needs nutrients for energy. We need proteins, fats, and carbs together to balance our blood sugar. We need a variety of plants to help our gut microbiome. Our gut microbiome helps eliminate excess estrogens. And we also need a wide variety of nutrients for phase one and phase two of liver detoxification. Also, the types of foods that we eat matter. Non organic meats and dairy could expose us to other added hormones as well. So, second is xenoestrogens. So, these are things such as parabens, phthalates, BPA, PCBs, and dioxins. These are all in our environment. These are all chemicals that are estrogen mimickers. So, basically, they act as excess estrogen in our body, and they can block the normal estrogenic activity in our body as well. So, next is a sluggish liver. So, our liver is what breaks down toxic chemicals, estrogen, hormones, everything in our body. But it's always going to prioritize the things that are most toxic to us. So, if we're surrounded by all these xenoestrogens, like I mentioned before, and we're consuming alcohol and we're smoking, our liver is going to prioritize breaking those things down first before it starts breaking down the estrogen. So, if the estrogen is not properly broken down in our liver, it'll just get recirculated throughout our body. And lastly, excess fat cells. So, excess fat cells in our body, they produce something called aromatase, and this can convert testosterone into estrogen. This also happens when you consume inflammatory foods as well. Next, our gut and estrogen. So, if we are constipating and not having daily poops, then we're not pooping out the excess estrogen, and it's just going to get recirculated throughout our body. Also, if we're dealing with the gut and having dysbiosis or imbalanced good and bad bacteria, you'll produce a certain enzyme called glucuronidase, and this causes excess estrogen to be recycled as well. So, this leads me to our estrobolome. So, this is a collection of bacteria in our gut that metabolizes circulating estrogen. So, this is basically phase three of estrogen detoxification. So, phase one and phase two happens in the liver, and this is where phase three happens, and basically how the next phase for where it gets broken down and sent out in our poop. But there are certain things that could interfere with this. So, there's a gene mutation called COMT, and this slows the metabolism of estrogen, and also pesticides can cause estrogen in our gut to be metabolized into the bad form of estrogen. So there's certain forms of estrogen that our body breaks down, and we don't want the bad estrogen. So this is another reason why it's important to eat organic and wild caught food whenever possible. Our health starts in our gut, and it's very important to take care of our gut. Also, there are studies that show a woman's estrobolome affects her risk of getting breast cancer. So now, if your estrogen is high, your progesterone is probably low in relation to your estrogen. So, progesterone is our calming hormone. It's supposed to be dominant in the second half of our cycle. If it's not, low progesterone can lead to irregular periods, anxiety, weight gain, trouble sleeping, hot flashes, difficulty conceiving, and maintaining pregnancies. So, what causes the low progesterone? So, in short, stress. Cortisol and progesterone are made from the same compounds. So, if stress is high in our body's going to need to produce more cortisol and it's going to back off on producing progesterone. So, that is one way that we can have low progesterone. Also, excess estrogen, which we talked about in the previous slides, this can also produce cortisol, which can lead to low progesterone. So, how do we raise our low progesterone? So, there isn't really like a supplement or anything we can do to bring up our progesterone, but there are some things that we can do to kind of help boost it along. So, first, you can increase your B vitamins and your C rich foods. So, vitamin C in citrus has been shown to help boost progesterone by 77%. And vitamin B6 can help lower estrogen and raise your progesterone and kind of block off the symptoms of PMS and PMD. Citrus fruits like kale, red peppers, Brussels sprouts, broccoli, kiwi, guava, strawberries, they're all high in vitamin C. Some foods that are high in vitamin B are fish, turkey, dried fruits, sunflower seeds, chickpeas, pinto beans, pistachios, and prunes. Next, you want to balance your blood sugar. So, unbalanced blood sugar raises our cortisol levels. And like I said, if cortisol is elevated, progesterone production is down. Next, we want to fix our excess estrogen. So, we've talked about how to do that. We want to heal our gut, we want to remove the xenoestrogens, and we want to support our liver. Next, we want to add zinc rich foods. So, zinc raises our FSH levels or follicle stimulating hormone, and this can help you ovulate. So, without ovulation, we don't get progesterone. So, foods that are high in zinc are beef, nuts, pumpkin seeds, and seafood. So, PCOS or polycystic ovarian syndrome. So, this is a collection of symptoms. Basically, the ovaries stop communicating with the brain, and it's a collection of symptoms such as irregular periods, high testosterone. So, you'll tend to have acne, facial hair. The ovaries have cysts, insulin resistance, and this can also lead to weight gain. So, women may not have all these symptoms. So, PCS might look different for everyone. Some people deal with the acne, some deal with the weight gain. You only really need two of these symptoms to have PCOS. You don't necessarily need to have the cyst on the ovaries. So, inside the ovary, we have the eggs, and the cells around the eggs are called the granulosa cells, and these are responsible for producing estrogen. So further out beyond there are the theca cells, and they produce testosterone. So in this graphic here, you'll see our brain tells our ovaries what to do. So there's the pituitary gland located in our brain, and this produces FSH and LH. So the LH tells the theca cells to produce testosterone, and the FSH cells tell the granulosa cells to produce estrogen. In PCOS, we typically have a higher ratio of LH to FSH. If the woman with PCOS also has insulin resistance, then her pancreas is producing a lot of insulin. So, excess insulin, as you can see on the graph here, it also tells the theca cells to produce testosterone. So, that is how we get excess testosterone. This is why balancing our blood sugar is really important. So, as PCOS women have irregular periods, and this is due to the lack of ovulation. So they all experience the same symptoms in the previous slides I talked about with low progesterone. And we know this is caused by stress and by estrogen dominance. So excess estrogen can cause cysts on the ovaries as well. Women with PCOS also tend to have chronic inflammation, and this inflammation can stem from the gut. The chronic inflammation can also affect the egg quality as well. So I'm all about healing at the root. So here are some things that can help your symptoms of PCOS. So, like I said before, endocrine disruptors are huge. It affects all of our hormones. So, start eliminating them. So, things like BPA, this is found in cans and receipts, parabens, it's found in personal care products. Phthalates are found in products that have fragrances and plastics. PCBs and dioxins, these are toxins found in non organic foods and farm raised fish. So, very important when you can check your products, try to eliminate plastics, switch to glass containers whenever possible, get rid of things with fragrances. Anytime you see the word fragrance in a product, that could contain a bunch of hidden chemicals that we have no idea. So, whenever you can, get rid of things that say fragrance on there. Always choose organic and wild caught when possible as well. So, next, balancing our blood sugar. Same thing. Excess insulin in our body creates more testosterone. So, when creating meals, make sure we have a protein with a fat and a carb, never alone. Next, we want to heal our gut. So, there's 5 R's to gut health. So, first is remove, then replace, reinoculate, repair, and rebalance. First, remove everything that's causing inflammation in your gut. So things like fake sugars, chemicals, packaged foods. Whenever you pick something up and serve yourself, I want you to think of what kind of nutrition is this providing my body with? And lastly, stress. So too much stress equals low progesterone, and no ovulation equals low progesterone as well. And this can lead to irregular periods. Lastly, I want to talk about why I'm not a fan of birth control. I'm all about healing at the root, and this does not get to the root cause. It's not fixing the problem. It's kind of just like putting on a band aid, makes you feel good for a little bit and then doesn't work anymore. So, when you get on the pill, you're giving synthetic hormones, and it doesn't allow you to ovulate. Women with PCOS already have trouble ovulating, so it doesn't make sense. And some side effects of birth control are weight gain. And as we know, women with PCOS already are dealing with this. So again, doesn't make sense. It depletes your vitamins, which can affect your mood, and liver detoxification can cause mood swings. I don't know anyone who wants mood swings. And it can alter your gut microbiome. As we know, that can cause inflammation, and that's something that we're already dealing with, and that's something that we want to fix. And lastly, it can cause blood clots. So I work in a hospital where we do this special surgery. We're the only ones, I think, in the world, because we get people from all over the world to come for this special surgery. Basically, it removes clots from your pulmonary arteries. And every now and then, I will have a young girl come in, and the first thing I think of is birth control pills. And usually, when I look at her history, it is from birth control pills. I don't want to scare you. It is rare, but it does happen. And I also want to reiterate, like, I am not a doctor. This is not medical advice. I want you to do what works for you. And if you are trying to prevent a pregnancy or whatever your reason is for getting on birth control, That's up to you. You do you. You use your best judgment, but this is just my personal opinion.